What's going on? Happy New Year. Let's start it off like this. Now, I'm gonna start it off with the Rep versus Retail Air Jordan 4. I'm on Maniere's. Now, to my knowledge, these are the best ones out, the best batch. We have some God Killer on Maniére 4s and some retail ones. I'm not gonna say which, you should be able to know right now, but I usually don't get into the boxes, but I will just for this case. I usually don't because these things can change very quickly. Rep companies can understand the problems very quickly and fix these things, which is why I try to focus more on the shoes. But let's get into that real quick and then we'll hop back into the shoes. The color on the Rep box is a little bit more of a gray, not necessarily violet. You can't completely see it, but just trust me on that. You can kind of see it's a little bit gray. This is the retail box. And also the plastic that it comes with. This is the Rep, this is the retail. It's just more clear, honestly, just a lot more clear, a lot more white. This is kind of already gotten a little yellow. Again, this is nitpicking. You can't honestly tell completely, but that's the only thing that really, caught my attention, as well as the paper. It's slightly different on the Rep pair. If I can get this open. It's too white on the Rep pair. Retail pair is a little bit lighter. I want to get into the tags as well. This is the Rep tag. This is the retail tag. Again, something you can fix. Retail tag comes in a bag, and it also comes with this. I misplaced it, but it's a little bit more flimsy than the retail pair. The retail pair is definitely a lot harder, but then again, you could just simply throw this out. So now let's get right back into the shoes. Now let's get right into the shoes. We got the Replica pair on the right, retail on the left. Now this is a 10.5 and this is a size 9. So this might look a little bit bigger, but nonetheless I do feel like the tongue is way too big on the Replica pair. As you can see, let me get the two Jumpman pairs next to each other. But as you can see, it's simply just too massive. I think they were trying to really go for the padding, which is nice and I appreciate, but just looking at the padding, again, very, very, very similar. Just look at the stitching, a little bit better on the retail pair, but a lot more loose, which I guess is why it gives the appearance of a bigger tongue. If you kind of, in all honesty, if you kind of squish it down just like that, that kind of helps. So I think the loose stitching on the tongue was hard for them to get, but overall, for the most part, the stitching is pretty spot on. Look at that. Here's the Replica insole. It's got the leather insole. Here's the retail pair. This is what it looks like. The stitching is pretty crisp. The words are a little crooked. Jumpman's a little crooked. You go to the Replica pair. Jumpman's even more skinny. But honestly, let's take this out. But honestly, pretty spot on. Now, the back tabs are another thing that's kind of an indicator for me. The Replica is just simply a lot wider. As you can see towards the top, it gets a lot wider than the retail pair, which is a lot more narrow. However, these are just common flaws for Replica 4s. Doesn't really matter the colorway. As you can see, the stitching is really crisp. If anything, more glue stains on the Replica pair, and even with the metal A, did a pretty good job. It's the retail pair. I feel like the A is a little smaller. What's up, bro? But yeah, I feel like the A is a little bit smaller on the retail pair than on the Rep. It's also a little bit more dull. It's a lot more shiny on the Replica, actually. This is the cage for the rep. This is the retail cage. Definitely a lot tighter, but the color is honestly spot on. This is the rep, retail in the back. If anything, just a slight hue lighter, but for the most part, this shit has been spot on. I've had more flaws on my retail pair than my rep, as you can see. Oh my goodness, look at that. But yeah, I have random flaws on my retail pair that I didn't have on my rep. Honestly, I wouldn't bite the bullet for the 500 or 6, whatever resale is right now. Look at that. Still sloppy Nike flaws. But yeah, on feet, these are gonna look spot on. Also, the back tab, it's not about the shoes, it's about where you're going with the signature. Do the same. Practically identical. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, that's fucking spot on. If anything, it's a little bit thicker on the retail pair. That's about it. Shit, I'm trying to find differences and I'm struggling with it. The signature, I don't know if it varies by pair, but honestly, that seems basically identical too. The only thing I would say is the key is you see the signature on this retail pair, it extends out a little bit too much on the rep. I would say this is the best indicator so far. You see the signature, how it goes out, the line goes out farther compared to retail, doesn't go far at all. I would say that's the best indicator to me. And like I said, I don't know if it varies by retail pairs. Y'all please let me know in the comments. Stitching is fine on the A's. Tongue is just a little thick. And the whole 4 silhouette is kind of thick. Like I said, I know the sizes are different, but overall you can just tell by structure that's gonna be your best bet. Also, one more thing that I just noticed is the thickness on this retail pair is a lot more different than the reps. See, the cuts are simply just not as thick. As you can see, this is the rep pair and this is the retail pair. And just taking a quick glance, look how rough and thick this cut is compared to this little thin cut. So I guess the uppers are a little bit higher quality. Even right here on this lip by the cage, you can see that big difference in cuts. Also, this little patch right here on the retail pair, you see that square shape right by the cage, right by the toe, right by the stitching. On the rep pair, that square is a lot smaller, almost double the width on the retail pair. Look at that. But it's crazy, this is how close we have to get to determine flaws. But I feel like that is a big indicator because I think it does transfer over multiple batches. I feel like multiple batches are not going to get that right. This is something that you should keep in mind. And again, the rough cuts, you know, don't care if you like reps or not, just don't get got. And you know, be careful out there. Otherwise, this is way better bang for your buck. Not even many flaws. You saw how close I had to get to even mention something. And look at that, Nike even has rough cuts themselves, so doesn't really matter. But the thickness is definitely a big difference. Stitching is pretty on point. If anything, it's a little bit darker on the retail pair than on the rep. But overall, let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all are close, if y'all think they're close. I appreciate all y'all supporting me. Let me know what y'all want to see next, and I appreciate all the love. Appreciated it, man.